Welcome to yoga. Now place your feet on the edges of your mat or even wider than your mat with bent knees and your hands planted behind you to support you. And before we go any further, you may want to adjust your screen so it is on the left side of your mat, or at the front of your mat should be fine too, so that you can see me as we do this sequence. So pause here to set up, and when you're ready, just lower your right knee down to the left without lifting your right hip up. So it might not go very far, but you're internally rotating your right hip. Should feel pretty good, like a stretch you haven't felt in a long time. Finding a deep breath in and out. Now lower both knees to the left, allowing your right hip to lift up as you turn your body to the left, using your hands to support you. Work on getting 90 degrees in your hips between your thighs. So you may need to open your left knee up a little bit more or push your right knee back a little bit more. Your shins don't have to be parallel. You don't need 90 degrees in your shins. In fact, you can modify with 45-degree angles in your shins. That's fine. Find what works for you, but do your best to create 90 degrees between your thighs at your hips. And if you find yourself really using your hands to support you, try to get yourself upright as much as possible using your muscles. You'll feel your oblique fire. Muscles in your back are firing. There might be a little cramping in your right hip. That's okay. If that's happening, just back out slightly. And you can stay here, or if you're feeling good about being upright, start to walk your hands forward as you hinge at your hips, laying your ribs or your belly on your right thigh. This should feel similar to half pigeon pose. This 90-90 stretch is like the Swiss Army knife of hip mobility stretches. So you'll notice that there's a lot of sensation in a lot of places. This is one you would benefit from doing every day or just very often. So next, while you're here, try to lift your right ankle up behind you without lifting your right knee. Then lower it back down. We'll do that 2 more times. Lift it up and lower. Last time, up and lower. Great job. Walk your hands up. Then place your right hand at heart center so you can find your sternum and twist your upper body to the right. Facing the front of your mat, place your hands behind you to support you. Now keep your left knee glued down to your mat as you lift your right knee up as wide as it will go. Yes, that should feel pretty good. And then come back to center. And let's switch sides. With your hands supporting you, lower your left knee down without lifting your left hip up. Hang out here in this internal rotation for a moment, for a deep breath or 2. So now continue rotating to the right, opening both knees all the way to the right. Let your left hip lift up and use your hands to support you as you lift your spine up tall. Working on using less weight in your hands, more strength in your back, your abs, and your hips to keep your spine upright. Take a peek down and make sure that you do have 90 degrees in your hips though. So you may need to open your right knee up a little further. You want your knee directly in front of your right hip, or you may need to move your left knee further back. And find the shin position that works best for you. Ideally, the same thing you did on the other side. And if you're working on sitting upright here without cramping, then just stay here. But if sitting upright feels pretty good, you want to take it further, then walk your hands forward so you can lean your upper body over your right thigh. And if you did on the other side, lift your left ankle up. Then lower it down. 2 more times. Lift your left ankle up and lower. 1 more time, up and lower. Then slowly take your time as you walk your hands up. Place your left hand at heart center, finding your sternum, and twist your upper body towards the front of your mat. Then lower both hands behind you to support you. As you keep your right thigh glued down to the mat, lift your left knee up and open as much as it'll go. Hold and breathe. Great job. Now extend your legs straight out in front of you. With a gentle bend in your knees, flex your toes back, hinge at your hips, big inhale to lengthen your spine. Exhale to fold. Inhale to lengthen. Exhale, hinge and fold. 1 more time, lengthen sternum towards your toes. And fold. Now you can stay here in this forward fold if it feels good, or you can play with this next variation. So if you want to play, then you will come back to sitting upright with your legs straight out in front of you and bring your hands together at heart center. You can use your hands to support you on the ground though, whichever works for you. Do your best to shift your weight to your left hip so you can bend your right knee, internally rotate, and place it at the 90 degree behind you. You might need to look at the screen to see what I'm talking about. And then see if you can do this without using your hands. Place your right foot straight out in front of you again. Then try it with your left foot. Bend your left knee, internally rotate, and place your left knee at 90 degrees behind you. And then replace your left foot in front. And then bring your left foot back to center. And keep trying that on each side as a different way to approach your 90-90. We're playing, but this is a mobility practice, so you are welcome to keep alternating sides, just kind of playing and finding fluidity and mobility with this new type of movement, or you can just rest into one side and then the other, even pausing this video to give yourself more time if you'd like. And for time's sake, let's wrap it up. Come back to your seated position and notice how you feel. Take a big breath in, big breath out. And thank yourself for coming to this grounding practice, for showing up as you are, and making space for appreciation for the feet that support you every single day. Bring your hands at heart center. From that place of appreciation in me to that place of appreciation in you. Namaste.